welcome Osseo Oriole football fans, welcome Blaine Bengal football fans, fans of about any other reason for being here. Just thank you for coming into the broadcast, watching Osseo football today. Your Orioles will be playing the final game of the regular season versus the Blaine Bengals. Right now it's senior night, so the parents are being introduced with each player. So the game will be starting at 7:10, about 10 minutes later than we usually get things kicked off. But we're going to have plenty of time to get through what I expect to see today from the Bengals and from the Orioles, get through starting lineups, as well as what both teams can expect heading into the section playoffs starting next week. We're going to start on the Blaine Bengals side. Blaine heads into the game with a 5-2 record, 4-2 in West Metro Conference play. They got back on track offensively last week, putting up 31 points in their 5th win of the year. Before that, they had 28 points combined in the 2 games prior. So Blaine coming in with a hot offense. Osseo obviously with a hot offense as well after the 41-point showing versus Coon Rapids last week. And we'll get into Osseo's offense before the game starts a little bit later on. But for Blaine, last 4 games for them, they've all been wins, but all 4 have been decided by 1 possession. This is a team that, again, comes in ranked number 8 in the state of Minnesota. But they've had a couple of close bouts, and Osseo has as well against some prior top 10 ranked teams in the state of Minnesota. I'll turn this down a little bit, getting a little bit too loud. And finally for Blaine, a win would put them 2nd in West Metro Conference play standings, a huge move up that'll help them in sections should they get the W today. But Osseo also looking for the W. A win would put them tied for 5th in the division. And a win tonight and possibly a little help from a couple other teams, and Osseo could be looking at a game versus Edina for the first game of sections, which would be the first game that Darren Lamker, now assistant coach over at Edina, would play against Osseo for his first time in his coaching career since he was an assistant at Armstrong High School. Offensively for the Orioles, we talked about how they've heated up recently. A lot of that has been helped to Greg Arell. He's had a couple of really nice games. Past 3 has a QBR of 101.6. He's been doing pretty solid. Defense also had their best showing of the year against Coon Rapids, holding an opponent to under 20 points for the first time this season. Now, I know it's Coon Rapids, and they haven't won a game for a very long time, but always good to see a good showing defensively from the Orioles. I don't know if we'll see that today, but that confidence and that momentum can also be carried over, something that could help this Oriole bunch heading up against a great offense with some great individual talent that we'll get to in a little bit here. We talked about how Osseo can move up to 5th in the seedings, and now we're going to look at the individuals for both teams. Heading into the game for Blaine, 2 quarterbacks kind of control the carousel, Connor Melton and KJ Downey. Downey, I believe, will be starting today. We'll see when the game starts. Downey's completion percentage around 50%, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Leads the team in passing touchdowns. The number 2 quarterback, Connor, 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, has more passing yards at 527, also has a lower completion percentage, but both of them pretty close to the best with both of their stats. It'd be interesting to see who comes out today. Downey takes a lot of handoffs at running back as well, so we might see both of them in action as the game goes on. And for the Osseo side at quarterback, obviously Greg Arell will be getting the start today. We've seen a little bit of consistency coming from him the last 3 weeks. 22 of 38 for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. The key thing there being no interceptions for Arell. Before these last 3 games, he has thrown 0 interceptions. In his previous 3 to start the season, after coming off his 2-game suspension, he had already thrown 4. So a junior quarterback coming into his own here at the end of the season, always good to see. We'll see if he can lead a late charge, get Osseo a pivotal 3rd win of the season, and help them heading towards section play starting next week. Over to the running back position for Blaine, Chase Harper, number 5. Keep an eye on him today. 2nd in the West Metro in rushing yards behind the notorious Ollie Nye from Anoka. And we'll get to Ollie Nye and what he has bearing in this football game today. But Chase Harper comes in 767 yards rushing, 10 total touchdowns, averaging $109 per game rushing the football. And in his last 5 games, Harper has managed to rush over 100 yards in 4 of them. The one he did not, he rushed for 52. Again, we talked about Downey taking some carries in the backfield. He's the second leading rusher on this Blaine Bengals offense, 56 touches for 267 yards, far lower than Chase Harper. Harper definitely the lead back, kind of equate Downey to like a Chester Taylor back in the days with Adrian Peterson. 3 rushing touchdowns for Downey. He's averaging 4.8 a clip, so a pretty solid running back when he gets the football handed off to him. And on the Osseo side, obviously Parnell Taylor, he does get the start today at running back. He comes in the last 3 weeks with 38 touches, 416 yards, 5 touchdowns. We bring it up every week, but the Offensive Player of the Week nominee for the state of Minnesota a couple weeks ago, and far and away his best game and his opening game as a running back for the Osseo Orioles. Expect him to have a good showing here in the final game of the season versus a very solid rush defense. I think despite what Blaine brings to the table, I think Parnell can run the ball very well, and this rush defense for Blaine has been very, very good. We talked about what Ollie Nye could have bearing in this game against the Orioles and the Bengals. Ollie Nye, when he rushed against Blaine, had 19 carries for 54 yards. He combined for 919 in the 6 other games that he has played. So Ollie been very successful. Had his one rough game versus Blaine, and Blaine's done that to a bunch of running backs this year. Passing the football has been a weakness, at least stopping total yardage of this Blaine defense. They forced a lot of interceptions, but the yardage has been allowed, so RL should be able to have a pretty solid game throwing the football. And then Ekiyor on Osseo's side as well, 3 touchdowns. He had a huge run last week. I believe this is the clip right here. This is one of Ekiyor's 3 touchdowns he had on the game last week against Coon Rapids. He had 2 on the ground and 1 on the screen pass, which we'll show you in a little bit. A little hint towards Ekiyor at the end of the pregame show. And then Marmar came into the game with 136 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games, but Marmar among the inactives for the Orioles offense today. Him along with the tight end Wendell Smith, notables that are going to be out of the lineup today for the Orioles. Evan Williams also out on the offensive line, so missing some depth at that position. We have a new starter at tight end today. We'll get into that in the starting lineup here in just a little bit. Heading over to the wide receivers, Osseo, really, Karan Harmon has been the focal point of the offense. Nobody has over even 3 receptions in the last 3 games. So Harmon far and away the favorite receiver of RL, 11 receptions, 194 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Although last week against Coon Rapids, 7 different receivers caught a pass from either RL or Lindstrom, who came in the 4th quarter. So the wide receiving core showed a glimpse of brightness heading into the game against Coon Rapids last week. So we'll see if they can carry that into the game today. On Blaine's side, a couple of really solid receivers. Byron Bynum Jr., leading receiver on the team, 22 receptions, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Between Bynum, Whalen, and Braun, 9 touchdowns combined between these 3 wide receivers. Definitely a solid aerial attack that Blaine will bring to the table today. Braun actually with 4 receiving touchdowns. He leads the team in that category. And then the leader in yardage is Curtis Whalen with 343 and 3 touchdowns. So a couple different guys lead. You look for Bynum to be kind of the move the chains receiver. Look for him on 2nd and shorts, 3rd and shorts, just to get hit on slant routes to move the chains. Brown, big deep threat for this Blaine offense. And then obviously Whalen, leader in yardage, probably the best receiver on this team. Defensively, heading over to Blaine, I know there's a lot of individual talent. Might be a little startling for Oriole fans out there, but Blaine is ranked 8th in the state of Minnesota. They have a bunch of great talent and 2 brothers on this Blaine defense, Sam and Shay Garrity. Sam at corner with 4 interceptions, leads the team. He has 2 pick sixes as well. His brother Shay leads the team in tackles and sacks with he leads in tackles with 77, 4.5 sacks, is second on the team to Austin Olson, the defensive end complementing Ben Kai, who also has four sacks. He is one of the captains for this Blaine defense. A lot of individual talent on Blaine's side, but also we've seen some on Osseo's side as well, and that's going to get into the final segment of the pregame show before we usher in the starting lineups, the national anthem, and the football game itself. We're going to be doing something a little bit different, at least for this last game. Didn't do it last year, but I feel like it should be addressed this year. We're going to give away the team MVP honors for the Orioles, along with the grinder of the year for the Orioles, and those three nominees to look for at each position when you're watching the game today is number 25, Parnell Taylor. We saw him start the year as a substitute at safety, moved into outside linebacker, and then went to running back, and the rest is history. I believe this should be a run to look at of Parnell right here. Had a really good game last week against Coon Rapids. He's shown amazing wealth of knowledge in the backfield to not only let the block set up in front of him, but he's a powerful running back as well. Been a huge talent out of the backfield for the Orioles, and he's one of the nominees for MVP of the football club. Second nominee, I don't really have any replays just because I don't save a lot of defensive replays unless they involve turnovers, but the second one being one of the captains of the Osseo defense, Adam Lanners, the vocal leader of the linebacking core, leads the team in total tackles. Lanners had a great season this year. Watch for him in the middle of the pile on runs by Blaine, maybe even make a play in the passing game for the Orioles as well. He's our second nominee for team MVP. And the third and final nominee will be Karan Harmon, leading receiver on this team, explosive in the offense and also on special teams. He's had two returning touchdowns called back because of penalties that really didn't even have anything to do with the play. Harmon has had a phenomenal season this year, might even be a West Metro Player of the Conference nominee along with Taylor. And then over to the grinder side, these are three guys who I believe haven't been given their due credit. Guys, the stats don't really jump out at you, but they've grown throughout the season. They've always given 110%. Those three players want to look at the kicker and backup linebacker for the Orioles, Dean Lum. We've seen him make a couple of great field goals this year. He's been really solid in extra points, and he comes in on defense as well. And one of the few kickers that I've seen in these 8 games of the regular season that gets involved in the tackle on the kickoff as well. A lot of kickers kind of peter off and let things happen, but Lum always jumping in the pile, giving his best effort to make the play on special teams. So he's the first nominee for grinder of the year for this Osseo Orioles special teams crew. On the offensive side, and moving over to left guard, a new position for him, Nash Jensen, our second nominee. Give a look of him absolutely destroying someone against Champlin a couple of weeks ago, along with Scott Christopher on the play, who will get the start today. We'll talk about the lineup here in a little bit, but Jensen, long tenured player in this Osseo organization. He's going to college next year. Look for him to be, I believe NDSU is where he's going to college. Look for Jensen to might even make a name for himself in college. I could see him maybe being an NFL product too. Kid's got great heart. Most people down on the offensive line. He's a big dude too, and he's been that way since he was a freshman in this program, at least that I remember. Third and final nominee is someone that has been involved a lot in pass protection, and when he's gotten his name called to run the football, as we saw last week against Coon Rapids, he's done very well. Jeff Ekior, the final nominee for grinder of the year. Ekior was involved in a lot of the passing plays throughout the season. This is one of them right here. It's a screen pass to Ekior that he returned down the sideline for a touchdown last week against Rapids, pretty much put the game away. And along with being in the passing game, he's been very solid in the rushing game for Osseo as well, picking up 80 yards, I believe, in the last 2 weeks individually. So Ekior, the third and final nominee for the Grinder Watch. So we've outlined team MVPs to look for as the game goes on. Parnell, number 25. Lanners, number 7. Karan Harmon, number 11. Dean Lum, 43, Nash Jensen, 66, and Jeff Ekior, 33. Write those numbers down. Those are names to look at in the ball game today.
Well,
get to the Osseo Orioles starting lineup here, and then we will take a quick break and then come back as the teams run onto the field, national anthem, and then the 8th and final game of the season for the Orioles will be underway. Offensively, we talked about a couple inactives, Wendell Smith and Marmar Hughes. Replacing Marmar is going to be Parnell Taylor. He would have been outside linebacker today, but Taylor and Ekior take the role at running back for the Orioles. And moving into tight end, his first start of the year, Tawa Wanta. So someone will be filling in on defense for him, and we'll outline that when we get to the defensive side. But on the O-line, starting from left to right, Brent Tekatz, left tackle, Nash Jensen, left guard, Scott Christopher at center. At right guard, his first start of the year, I believe, Chris Royston, the sophomore, and at right tackle, Opeachy Haas. Been very solid past 3 weeks that he's been in. Got called to be a starter kind of out of nowhere, and he's definitely picked up the job and ran with it. Receivers for the Orioles, Ron Gray and Julian Caven. So Harmon might be injured as well. I didn't think I saw him on the sideline bundled up, but we did see him get injured last week along with Marmar, so we'll see what happens with that as a developing story as we head into the game. Quarterback for the Orioles, Greg Arell. Defensive side, your defensive ends, Yinka Omtoyumbo, along with the captain, Jacob Jones. Trent Lazinski, nose guard for the Orioles. Linebackers, Ace Navalangesi. Parnell Taylor will be playing both sides today, along with Nick Norman, the captain, Adam Lanners, who we mentioned, nominee for Team MVP Watch. And then Obleon Nema, inside linebacker as well. Corners for the Orioles, Johnson Fowler and Tevin Yang. Yang, who had a big play last week, got his first pick six of the year and his first interception, his second interception. This is a big play. He had a chance to get an interception earlier in the game, capitalized on a second opportunity, got a big play to put the Orioles in front against the Cardinals. And then safeties will be Adam Plumhoff along with Sealock. Special teams, John Chi, the punter, Dean Lum, the kicker, and the returners for kicking and punting, Parnell Taylor. Both teams will be running on the field shortly. We'll take a quick break and then get right back to you here on the Astro Productions Network. Again, this game is in October, so it is recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Should be one more game left that can be recognized through high school, collegiate, and at the professional level as well. Players wear pink, about pretty much pink anything, just to symbolize the fight women have with breast cancer, and it's shown here today with the Orioles. See it on Sunday with the Vikings, Saturday with the Golden Gophers. Good cause brought forth by each team. Some teams even having tackle cancer nights. We saw that last week with Coon Rapids. All the proceeds went to the Randy Shaver Foundation. Orioles running onto the field now. See some of the pink on them right there.
Good evening and welcome to John Hanson Stadium in Carleton Field for tonight's game between the visiting Blaine Bengals and your Osseo Orioles. At this time, we ask everybody to please rise as the Osseo American Legion Color Guard presents the colors for tonight's game. And now we ask you to please remain standing as the Osseo Marching Band, under the direction of Mary Hanson, leads us in our national anthem. Thank you. Osseo won the toss for the
All right, everybody, welcome back. Again, final game of the year, Orioles versus the Bengals. Big football game for both teams. Predictions heading into the game. I know we talked about how good Blaine's defense has been against the run. I don't think that's going to matter. They haven't seen Parnell Taylor before. I expect Taylor to have a big game running the football. Osseo's defense may struggle, but I think Osseo ends up winning this game in another kind of shootout that we saw in the classic that unfolded a couple weeks ago against the Champlin Park Rebels. My mic's on, right? All right, sweet.
Hey, how you doing?
Osseo will be starting off with the football. Blaine will be kicking it off. Blaine will get the ball in the second half.
We need all the help we can get up here. Where's that damn horn? Oh, look at that.
Beautiful weather here tonight for some fall football. I say that kind of sarcastically. It's pretty cold. 46 degrees, feels like 43. 10-mile-an-hour winds. Expect the temperature to get down below the 40s as the game goes on. Get the players running around, should warm them up. Blaine will be booting this one away again to the Orioles, back deep to receive. Caven, Gray, and Parnell Taylor back deep for Osseo along with Ekior. Don't know which side that is, but somebody's doing the SpongeBob chant to get things going. And Blaine boots it off, and Osseo will get things rolling from about the 15. Ball's returned up the middle of the field. Parnell Taylor breaks through the line, gets to about the 34-yard line, where Osseo will pick up their first possession of the game. Shea Garrity on the tackle for Blaine. Talked about him in the pregame show, the leader in tackles for Blaine on defensive and special teams, 77 total tackles on the year. Osseo will come off for their first possession. Ju Paul among the players in the backfield for Osseo. Aurel in at quarterback. Gray, your receiver on the bottom of the screen. Caven at the top. I formation, tight end left. 4 down linemen for Blaine. No backers pressing. Aurel takes a snap. Looking to throw a quick slant out to Gray. And he fumbles the football after initially catching it. And he'll fall down at about the 31-yard line. And that's where they'll mark him down. So it'll bring up second. Gray caught it a little bit behind the line of scrimmage as it was, and then tried to turn upfield with it and juked himself out of the football. Picked it up, and Osseo recovers, but they lose about 4 on the play, so it'll bring up second and 14. Yeah. I formation, Wanta, the tight end to the right. Blaine's still back in their standard defense. As a handoff bounce to the outside with some room to run is Parnell Taylor, and he's not tripped up yet. Down to the 40, 35, 30. Still shrugging off Bengal players down to about the 24-yard line. What a run for Parnell Taylor.
That's just a strong kid. I was worried they're going to punch that ball out.
Big run for a big guy. Parnell Taylor bringing it all the way past the 50 in one play. And just like that, Osseo has their first down of the game. I form once again. RL under center, looking to throw this time, and he'll way overthrow Ron Gray. About 6 yards over his head, and they'll bring up second down. Substitutions for the Orioles. Ekior in the game. Ju Paul back in for Osseo. David Hall in the game as well. We saw him have a pretty good showing in the fourth quarter against Coon Rapids last week. RL's going to be on the shotgun, split back formation, handoff to Ekior, and he'll shrug off one defender and struggle back to the line of scrimmage. Pretty solid run by Ekior, just getting back to the line there, and it'll bring up 3rd and 10. Hall last week came in with a majority of the JV players just getting some touches near the end of the game. Hall must have shown something because he came in as a substitute at tight end, might see him as the game goes on. He had 4 carries for 26 yards last week in his brief stint on that one drive in the fourth quarter. So 3rd and long for Osseo. And they're going to shove Wanta out as a receiver. So 1 receiver left and right, I formation for the Orioles once again. There's some movement, and that'll be our first flag of the game. False start on the Orioles pushes them back 5. So 3rd and 15 for Osseo. 10 minutes to go here in the first quarter on the first possession of the game. Caven, the receiver, on the top of your screen. Gray on the bottom. I formation once again. They don't really change out of this for the Orioles. It's going to be a handoff to Parnell Taylor, and he will get tripped up in the backfield. Among the Bengals making the tackle there is Tyler Osiki. So a big play for the Bengals defense there, and it'll bring up 4th and most likely the punting unit for the Orioles. For now, it looks like they're going to go for it. Hall is in right now as a substitute, and Osseo looks like they will indeed be going for it here on 4th down. Taylor along with Drew Paul in the game. Wanton as well. Ekior and Caven, the receivers, on the top of your screen. Twins left, I formation, strong right. 4 down linemen, some backers pressing. RL looking to throw. He's going to heave one deep down the sideline to Taylor, and it'll be incomplete. So Osseo turns the ball over on downs. So Osseo's defense will come out for the first time this game. We were definitely hoping to see something. I believe this was... We'll show it later. Play from the Hail Mary last week to Parnell Taylor. I'm sure that's what RL wanted to happen there. But nonetheless, Blaine will take over here on first. Out of the shotgun, running back to his right. Twins right, 1 wide receiver left, and Osseo jumps on the first play. Flag is on Obleon Nema. So a 5-yard penalty, so Blaine will replay first. Connor Melton in for Blaine at quarterback. 527 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lead quarterback for this Blaine offense. It's going to be a quarterback option. He's going to cut it back up the middle of the field and get wrapped up by the Oriole defenders for a loss of a couple, and it'll bring up 2nd. Good job by the D-line led by Jacob Jones there. Remember back a couple of weeks ago against Champlin, Otto ran that option play and it was very successful. I'm sure Blaine liked that in film. Didn't work on the first play of offense there. It'll bring up 2nd and 6. So it's a quick bubble, and it's incomplete, nearly intercepted on the play by Adam Plumhoff, who had an interception last week for Osseo, and it'll bring up 3rd. So opting for a wide receiver screen there on 2nd to no avail, and it'll be 3rd down for the Bengals. Out of the shotgun is Melton, 1 running back to his left. Trips once again, quarterback option once again, flicked out to the running back, and he will be marked out at about the 42, 43-yard line. So that should be good enough for a first down for Blaine.
Linebacker's got to get there.
On the carry, the lead rusher for this Bengal offense, Chase Harper. 767 yards and 10 touchdowns heading into the game for Harper. And a good run there on 3rd will give Blaine a first down, their first of the game. Sending Bynum in motion, trips to the right now. It's going to be a throw out to Bynum, and he'll cut it up the sideline. Pass an Oriole defender, and he'll lower his shoulder down to about the 38-yard line. A good catch and run by Bynum Jr. there gives Blaine another first down. So Blaine inside the 40 now. They're going to send Bynum in motion once again. Trips are going to be to the left. It's the same play. Back out to Bynum. And he'll cut back up in the middle of the field, get twisted up at the 30, and eventually get brought down at about the 27-yard line. Same play 2 times in a row to Bynum, and he's been successful with it twice. leading receiver as far as receptions go for Blaine, kind of the chain mover for the Bengals offense, and he'll come off the field now for another first for Blaine. And they're going to send a receiver in motion, trips motion to the right again. This one's going to be a handoff up the middle to no avail, and they'll bring up second. Blaine tried to fool him with the same thing they'd seen 2 plays in a row, instead handed off up the middle to Bryce, and he gets about back to the line of scrimmage there, so they'll bring up second and 10. Tight end Whalen on the right side of the offensive line leads the team in touchdowns heading into the game. It's going to be a quarterback keeper up the middle. It'll be hit low and brought down at about the 23-yard line. So not a very successful run there, and it'll bring up third. 5-yard gain on the play, so 3rd and 5 for the Bengals. Connor Melton trying to lead Blaine and get a touchdown on their first drive of the game. Trying to get in the red zone for the first time today as well. Sending Bynum back in motion. It's going to be a handoff on the jet sweep to Bynum, and he'll cut it up the middle of the field and be brought down inside the 15 at about the 14-yard line. So Bynum with another good run, and he gives Blaine another first down. Shotgun set once again. 3 down linemen for Osseo. Some backers being pressured on the right side. Now motioned out as Bynum motions out. It's a quick pitch out to Henry or Bryce down the sideline. He gets about 3 yards in the play. Chase Harper, the ball carrier on the option play there, and it'll bring up second. 6:40 to go here in the first quarter. Blaine inside the red zone trying to put up their first score of the game. Takes a snap. It's going to be a handoff down the sideline nearing the end zone, and Blaine has their first touchdown of the game. Handoff to Chase Harper there. And there's a flag on the play. And it's going to be ruled a touchdown for Blaine. We'll see what the penalty is. Personal foul on the Orioles, so the touchdown is good. And Blaine
what did they do?
So Harper scores his 11th rushing touchdown of the season. And he gives Blaine an early 6-0 lead pending the extra point here. Personal foul, I believe, was for some kind of a blocking penalty on the Orioles. It wasn't really addressed either by the officiating crew, but nonetheless, Blaine on for the extra point here. There's a snap, kick is up, and it's good. And Blaine, with 6:34 to go here in the first quarter, takes an early 7-0 lead on the Orioles. So a couple of nice runs by Bynum on jet sweeps on wide receiver screens. And it is all capped off by the first touchdown of the day. This is a handoff to Chase Harper, his 11th rushing touchdown of the season. He gives the number 8 ranked team in the state of Minnesota the early 7-0 lead. Osseo will get the football back for their second possession of the quarter. Brandon Olson set to boot it away for the Bengals. Osseo sending Caven, Gray, and Taylor back deep to receive along with Ekior. And with the personal foul penalty that'll put the ball to be kicked off from the 45-yard line. So we'll see if Blaine just wants to take the touchback here or if they might want to try a little bit of a squib kick or something, try to maybe get the football back or give Osseo some pretty poor field position. We'll see what they have cooked up their sleeve on the special team side for Blaine. And it's going to be a laser, and it's going to roll right into the end zone for a touchback. I'm sure that's not what the coaching staff at Blaine wanted out of that. But nonetheless, the Orioles will start with the ball on the 20-yard line. Might have expected to see some kind of a lofty kick with some hang time on it, maybe near the sideline, maybe even an onside kick there, but Blaine just goes for the squib right up the middle, rolls into the end zone, so Osseo will pick up duties on the 20. Arell come in at quarterback, Parnell Taylor along with Ron Gray and Julian Caven, the receivers to the left and right for the Orioles. Blaine didn't really send any blitzes on the last drive. They haven't really needed to this year. Their DNs combined for 11.5 sacks. So a lot of good pressure coming from the front four for the Bengals. Osseo will start with the I formation, tight end right, handoff up the middle, cuts it through to the outside. Blaine Bengals fall on top of each other, and Parnell's off to the races. One man to beat. Parnell Taylor cuts it back upfield. He's still going down to about the 18-yard line. What can't this kid do? And as a theme of the season that we've seen for the Orioles, a penalty will take away an amazing run. And Osseo's sidelines in the fan section aren't happy about that. I didn't even really see the holding penalty. I almost wonder if they're going to call it because 3 or 4 Bengals ran into each other and gave Parnell the room that he was looking for there. So it's going to be a holding penalty on the Orioles. And the spot of the foul looks like where everybody clumped up. Give you a look of it on the replay right here. See if we can catch the holding penalty. And if you look, Wanta just threw his blocker or his defender into a pile and knocked about 3 Bengals over. So that was interpreted as holding by the officiating crew. So Osseo, pretty poor penalty, takes away a big run by Taylor, and they'll start with a 1st and 15 now. Corner's coming off the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a fullback handoff, and he'll be met immediately. On the tackle there for Blaine was Andrew Yang, one of the defensive tackles for this stout front four the Bengals bring to the table. So they'll bring up 2nd and long. 6:03 to go here in the first. Looking back at that replay, I didn't see a holding penalty at all. Just misinterpretation by the officiating crew. I'm sure Parnell's not too happy about that. And Osseo going to have to rebound from it. Arell's going to be out of the pistol formation with 2 receivers left, 1 right. Single back behind him, and there's another flag. This might be holding too. That was a joke. So it's going to be false start by the Orioles, pushing back 5.
This is what happens to them. They get backed up and then they just start getting back.
So Osseo inside their own 15 now, 2nd and long. We'll see how RL can get the Orioles out of this mess. Maybe Caven or Gray come up with a big reception here. It's going to be a handoff to Drew Paul. He'll cut it up the sideline and get a pretty decent chunk there on 2nd. At least bringing it back inside the original line of scrimmage. So it'll bring up 3rd and manageable now for the Orioles. Drew Paul, the big carry, now he's limping off the field. And with Marmar already being inactive heading into the game, and now Drew Paul limping over, we might see some David Hall at running back as a substitute for Parnell and Ekior as the game goes on as well. Osseo with a big 3rd down, about 3rd and 5 on the good run by Drew Paul. Corners pressing the line of scrimmage. RL is going to hand it off once again, and he'll be wrapped up in the backfield. Blaine absolutely demolishes him. Tough play. Right side of the O-line didn't really give a lot of help there. And Taylor's banged up after that run, as he should be. Lead tacklers there for the Bengals, highlighted by Thomas Hintz, his first tackle of the game. So Cheetah punted away. Garrity back deep to receive. one of the leaders on this defensive special teams for the Bengals. We'll see what he does here on this kick return. Going to let it bounce. Get to about the 49-yard line. Picked up by Nolan Melikar on the play. And Blaine will start with good field position for their second possession of the game. So 1st and 10 for Blaine. Bynum and Harper led the charge offensively for them last drive. Harper in the backfield. It's a pistol set strong to the left here on 1st down. Osseo 3 down lineman, no pressure being sent other than that. It's going to be a quick shovel pass, Aaron Rodgers-esque up the middle, and the Orioles think they got it. And it's going to be an incomplete pass, so it'll bring up 2nd. Try to do kind of a Rodgers shovel pass there, not too successful. Incomplete, so it'll bring up 2nd down. Trips once again. Blaine loves to run offense out of the trips, and they're in the shotgun here with Harper in the backfield. Whalen, the receiver on the top of your screen, looking to throw. He's going to throw it deep to Whalen down the sideline. And pushed off by Whalen, and it'll fall inside the 10, and there's no penalty flag on the field. Give you a look at the play here, leave it up to you. Give you a look at the supposed penalty while we get back to offense here. Obvious pass interference by Whalen on the top of your screen. And it's going to be a handoff to Harper, cuts it back up the middle of the field, and it'll be brought down near the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 2nd. So Osseo getting yipped on penalties early on here. Missed call penalties as well. Tough break for them here in the 1st quarter. Blaine trying to take advantage. Move it to a 2-possession game. The Orioles have forced a couple of red zone turnovers this year, headlined by Johnson Fowler and Tyler Seelock, mainly in the back corner of the end zone. We'll see what they can do here. Looking to throw into the end zone, caught wide open, touchdown, and there's a late flag on the play. This would be the 2nd touchdown of the game for the Bengals. That was Blake Newberg on the reception. We'll see what the penalty flag is for. Referee jogging over to the Osseo sideline, so we'll see. Give you a look at the supposed pass interference call after the pending extra point here. It's pretty blatant pass interference near about 15-yard line, pushed off pretty hard. So the touchdown is good. So Blaine. So the flag is picked up. Blaine up 13-0, pending the extra point here to make this a 14-point game.
That was very Drew Pearson-esque.
Kick is up, nearly blocked, and it's good. And Blaine will take a 14-0 lead over the Orioles. Again, this broadcast is sponsored by Astro Production Sports Photography. Good thing Osseo's at home. They're going to need their crowd to rally behind them and come back from this early deficit. Replay started early. We'll see if we can catch the pass interference. It was on It's going to be on the top of your screen near the 50. Wayland is the receiver.
What else is there to watch? Yeah.
Again, top of your screen, Wayland is the intended receiver. Oh, blatant shove off at about the 20-yard line. Obvious pass interference missed by the referees there. Ends up being a touchdown. So Osseo gypped by a tough call, a tough no call rather. Something that I'm sure Falcons fans aren't happy about. Last week, Julio Jones was involved in about the same situation that could have given them a chance to go on the road and beat the Seahawks. So referees across the pond screwing up on pass interference penalties, but Osseo's got a solid offense. They'll be able to come back, see what they can do here on their third possession. This one being kicked off from the normal spot at about the 40-yard line. Back deep to receive for the Orioles, Caven, Gray, and Taylor. And there's a kick to be returned from about the 31-yard line, and they'll be brought down at about the 41. On the reception there was Jaden Morton. Backup tailback for the Orioles. Might even see him as the game goes on today with all the injuries we've had at the tailback position. So Osseo will pick up business with pretty good field position. Ball on the 41-yard line. A little under 60 yards to go to pay dirt. 1st and 10. Taylor the setback in the backfield. I formation set once again. RL under center. Takes a snap. It's going to be a handoff to Taylor, and he'll try to bounce to the outside. Another flag, and Taylor will get stripped, and there's a fumble, and it's recovered by Blaine. And it'll be brought down at about the 35-yard line. Now there's a second fumble on the play there. And we'll see who recovered that one. Osseo looks like they recovered the second fumble. The officiating crew throwing another penalty flag. Really curious to see.
You haven't either? Didn't go out, I heard he went pheasant hunting though last weekend.
Injury on the field.
Player down for Blaine at about the 40-yard line, so we'll take an injury timeout, but we'll also address what the penalty flag is. Down on the field for the Bengals is Dylan Crump, one of the defensive tackles for the Blaine front four.
I'm not sure. They're still huddling.
Officiating crew still mulling over. I don't know if they're mulling over the penalty or who recovered the second fumble. It looked like the Orioles came up with it. Crump coming off on his own power, always good to see. And looks like the officiating crew might be breaking up here eventually. Now they're going to call another referee in, and we'll see what the ruling is. Line judge looks like he's signaling that it's still Osseo football, which is nice, but the penalty has to be addressed as well. Well, if you like nice and slow football games, there's a penalty flag thrown about every 5 plays. You came to the right place. And it's going to push Osseo back. Looks like 15. And it's a chop block on the Orioles. So 1st and 25 for the Orioles, plagued by another penalty. Got to overcome this and just play Oriole football here. RL going to try to lead the offense here on first, at least get some yards back. It's going to be a pass near the line of scrimmage. He'll lose a couple on the play. Wrapped up. Ekior was on the reception. Wrapped up by Bausch for the Bengal defense, and they'll bring up 2nd and long. So pretty rough go of it early on here in just the first quarter as we near the end of it heading into the second quarter. Osseo's been hit by a bunch of penalty flags early on. See if that gets addressed as the game goes on. Orioles going to try to get some yardage back here on second. RL, 5-step drop, looking to throw. Steps up in the pocket, and he'll be wrapped up for a sack well into the backfield. A lot of Bengals came through the line there, but it looked like it might have been a design screen. Ekiyor was covered on the play, so RL didn't really have anywhere to go. Looking for his second read, and he was already being swarmed by Bengals, so he'll get taken down in the backfield for 3rd and a mile. 3rd and 27. Or third and long. RL's going to be out of the shotgun. Corner's well off the line of scrimmage. Safety's going to line up at around the 30-yard line for Blaine. RL definite passing down here. There's going to be a timeout charged by the Orioles, their first of the half. So with 1:03 to go in the first quarter, Osseo takes their first timeout of the half. Tail of the tape so far for Osseo has been being plagued by some penalty flags. This right here, the biggest play that would have been offensively for the game for the Orioles was a run by Parnell Taylor that was called back because of a holding penalty. This play right here, Blaine on offense, a pass interference missed call that Blaine ends up getting a huge play on that ended up leading to a touchdown. So penalties and no calls have hurt the Orioles here early on in the first quarter. And Osseo's faced with a 3rd and about 30 here. RL's out of the shotgun, trips to his right. Corner pressing up on the line of scrimmage. RL hands it off up the middle to Ekiyor. He'll run it down the sideline, eventually get brought out at about the 26. So Osseo will bring out the punt team once again. Garrity back deep to return for the Bengals. Punt by Chi. See if this one's a little bit deeper than the last one. It's going to be caught at around the 49-yard line. Fair catch called for by Garrity, who we talked about in the pregame show. One of the, him and Sam and Shay Garrity, brothers on this Blaine defense, both have definitely made their presence felt. One of them, Sam, leads the team in interceptions, has 2 pick sixes as well. His brother Shay on the defensive line, 77 total tackles, leads the team. 4.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles as well. And they've made their presence felt early on. And now offensively for the Bengals, Harper in the backfield. First down, handoff up the middle, and he gets brought down at about the line of scrimmage. Good job by the Orioles there. Melton's had a couple of nice throws. Osseo working through Blaine's O-line for the most part. A lot of pressure coming from the Orioles from Jacob Jones' side of the scrimmage. And that should bring us to the end of the first quarter. Osseo down early 14-0. Blaine with the football. So we'll give you a look. At Blaine's first drive that ended up getting them their first touchdown of the game. These are a couple of the runs that led up to it. This is a screen out to Bynum Jr. Got a lot of yardage on the play. And then this is another play to Bynum as well. This one on a jet sweep that put the Bengals inside the 20. Blaine moved the ball pretty effortlessly on the offensive side of their first drive of the quarter. And then it was eventually capped off on the play by a handoff to Harper down the sideline. They got Blaine their first touchdown. On their second drive, some missed penalties on both sides gave Blaine their second touchdown, so that's how we are where we are at right now. Again, Blaine leading 14-0 as we head into the second quarter. Second down, 2nd and 8. Doubles to his left and right out of the shotgun is Melton looking to roll out left, throwing it down the sideline, and it's going to be dropped. Ran an out and up and had a chance if he caught that to run down the sideline and get their third touchdown of the game on one play heading into the second quarter, but it will be third down. It's a good throw by Melton on the play. So third down, Orioles trying to put a stop to the Bengals offense, looking to throw as Melton deep down the sideline, nearly intercepted on the play. That was Johnson Falla, nearly coming up with the interception, just a bit out of his reach. So Osseo forces fourth down, and Blaine will bring the punting unit out for the first time today. Parnell Taylor deep to receive for the Orioles. Bit of a lofty snap there, and Osseo nearly blocks it as a result. And Osseo's going to let it bounce. It's going to go to about the 14-yard line where Osseo will pick up business. Osseo's sideline's getting pretty rowdy. They must feel pretty confident about this drive. Kind of an interesting snap there on the punt for Blaine. That was pretty lofty compared to what we usually see from a long snapper snapping to the punter, and Osseo nearly blocked it. We've seen them almost block a couple of punts this year. If the snaps keep coming like that, Osseo might get one later on in this football game. Osseo will start things inside the 20 again. Under center is RL. 1st and 10 for the Orioles. It's going to be a pitch out to Taylor. He'll cut it back up the middle of the field, and he'll fall down at about the 21-yard line. Close to the marker, might even be enough for a first down. So 2nd and short for the Orioles. Ball moved to about the 22. It's 2nd and about a yard. 11-12 to go here in the second quarter. Caven, the receiver on the bottom of your screen. Wanta, the tight end to the left. I formation once again. Gray, the receiver on the top. RL under center. Looking to throw now is RL. Deep down the field, and he overthrows his intended receiver, Parnell Taylor. And it'll bring up third. Good idea offensively on 2nd and short. You can afford to throw the ball down the field, go for a bit of a risk, and now 3rd and short, expect just kind of a maybe in a fullback handoff up the middle just to get that yard and keep moving the chains. RL's been a little bit inconsistent on deep passes this year. He's also locked up a couple of times with Taylor, as we saw last week. Hopefully RL gets that accuracy down as the game goes on. It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and he's going to get stopped. RL held onto the football. He got stopped immediately. So a bit of an interesting call, and Osseo's going to bring the punt team out. So on 3rd and short, they opt for a read option between RL and the fullback, and RL decides to keep it himself, and he got stood up in the backfield. So Osseo, after a good play on 1st down, will be forced to another 3 and out. Norman to punt it for the Orioles. Now motioning some players out. We saw this last week against Coon Rapids. There's the punt. And it takes a good bounce for the Orioles. Ball will be down at about the 35-yard line. A good punt by Norman will at least pin the Bengals deeper than they've been throughout this game. So Bengals will pick up on offense at the 35. Their first drive of this quarter ended in a punt. We'll see if Osseo still has Blaine's number or if Blaine's going to try to get their third touchdown of the game. Receivers left and right. Now they motion it over to Trips on the right side. Quarterback keeper up the middle gets about minus a yard on the play. They motioned Bynum over to Trips on the left, and there was a quarterback option, and Melton elected to keep it himself, and he got obliterated in the line of scrimmage, so it'll bring up second down. Harper moving over to quads on the left side, all in a straight line. Osseo with two corners and a safety over there. And they're motioning Nema over to the right side. Empty set, looking to throw. He's going to run it up the middle and get absolutely wrapped up. Great job by the Oriole D line there. Deontay Miller, one of the guys wrapping up Melton there. And it's going to be third and long. Osseo forced Blaine to a punt on their last possession, and 2 plays later, Blaine already facing a third and long here. Melton going to be out of the shotgun along with Harper. Doubles to his left and right. 5-0 lineman, 3 down linemen for the Orioles. Some pressure being sent on the right side. It's a deep heave by Melton, and it's going to be intercepted from about the 34. Cuts up the middle of the field, down to the 50. Big interception for the Orioles. That's Adam Plumhoff. We saw him nearly get an interception a couple drives ago. And like Tevin Yang last week, capitalizes on his second opportunity. And the Orioles turn Blaine over for the first time today and possibly have some momentum near midfield.
My kid. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I got to turn off the clock.
So ball at about the 49-yard line. Osseo will pick up business after Plumhoff's big interception. Osseo first and 10. I form once again, see if they can move the Blaine line here. Arell, pitch out to the halfback. He'll run it up the middle of the field, get stopped near the line of scrimmage. That was Ekior on the carry. One of our nominees for Grinder of the Year on the Osseo offensive side. So Ekior gets a yard after lowering his shoulder there, so it'll be 2nd and 9. 8:03 to go here in the first half. Osseo 2 timeouts remaining. Blaine still with all 3 of their timeouts. Parnell Taylor, receiver on the top of your screen. Jupal in the game as the fullback. RL under center once again. Tight end right. Looking to throw to Caven. Caven cuts it up the field, and he'll fall forward to about the 43. A good little catch and run by Caven there. Getting some good yards after the catch. So it's going to bring up 3rd and short. Garrity on the tackle. Again, leading tackler on this Blaine defense. Last time Osseo was faced with a 3rd and short, RL did a read option, kept it itself, and got stuck behind the line. We'll see what he elects to do here on 3rd. RL will hand it off to the fullback this time, and he will fall forward for a first down. Ekior on the touch. First down of the half for the Orioles. Substitutions coming on. David Hall. Ron Gray coming off for the Orioles. Ball inside the 40 now. I-form receiver left and right once again. Tight end to the right. RL looking to throw to Parnell, and he'll try to cut it upfield. Gets a couple on the play. Something you got to love about Parnell, though, obviously swarmed around about 3 Bengals on the play, still lowers his shoulder and gets about as many yards as he can get in that situation. Always a good effort seen from Parnell every time he's on the football field. A little bit shooken up after that one. We'll see what they do with him here on second. Caven, the receiver, on the bottom of your screen. Parnell moving up to the top. David Hall and Ekior, the setbacks behind Arel, who's under center. Wanta, tight end left. Blitz coming from the right side. Arel's hit immediately, and it'll be picked up by the Bengals on the fumble at about the 48-yard line. Pressure was sent on the right side by Blaine. Arel was hit immediately. Ball comes out, recovered by Blaine, so they force a turnover. And Blaine will have the football at the 48-yard line. We talked about on the last drive, Blaine really hasn't sent any blitzes in the game. They send, believed to be at least their first or second blitz, and Osseo was not ready to pick it up. And Arel got swarmed, fumble recovered by Blaine, and they'll pick up duties past the 50 at the 49. Here on first down, doubles to the right, moving Bynum on the jet sweep. He will get wrapped up, but it's going to be a keeper to the quarterback near the line of scrimmage. If that ball would have gone to Bynum, he'd have gotten knocked back about 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. But Osseo, for the most part, has done a pretty good job reading the run game that Blaine has been throwing at him here early on here in the first half. So it'll be 2nd and 10. Melton once again unsuccessful running the football. Harper still in the backfield. Really haven't seen him get subbed out at all. Trips to the left, one wide receiver right. Looking to throw towards that trip side. Cuts it up the middle of the field. Sidesteps it past the 45 down to about the 44. On the reception there for Blaine was Sam Brown. Leads the team in touchdowns heading into the game. That was his 10th reception of the year. Puts him over 180 yards receiving for the season. Big third down for the Orioles once again. Doubles to the left and right. Osseo pressing their corners now on the bottom of your screen. Adam Plumhoff. Takes the snap, quarterback rolling out. Good block by Henry, throws it down the sideline. It's going to be caught at about the 25. On the reception was Curtis Wagan.
Back to work, huh?
Good looking hat.
We saw him with a big play on Blaine's drive a couple of possessions ago. Gets a big catch on third and gives Blaine another first down. Quarterback rolling out. Now Melton cuts it up the middle of the field. And I don't think he's learned his lesson yet. Meeting by the Osseo defensive line, wrapped up immediately. Then he'll bring up second. Lanners on the tackle. Lanners, one of our nominees for MVP of the football club to keep an eye on as the game goes on. Melton's going to be out of the shotgun. Lanners in the middle of your screen. Rolling out is Melton, looking to throw deep down the sideline. Beats the safety. Nearly intercepted. Good coverage on the play by Tevin Yang, and there's a flag thrown on the play. And if this is what I think it is, we'll see what the flag is. Can't imagine this pass interference. Didn't see anything from Yang there that would boat that opinion. Usually when refs have a long time discussing what the penalty is, it's unfortunately on the defense.
Oh, they're doing good.
Refs still talking it over, and here comes the call here. Pass interference on the Orioles.
The flag was behind the line of scrimmage. Roughing the passer.
Whether you believe in what the officials are throwing flags at or not is one thing, but one thing I will say about the officiating crew, at least early on, they've taken a lot of time to call each penalty almost as if they're unsure about it the majority of the time they throw a flag. You see confident referees call what the penalty is immediately after throwing the flag, but these officials have taken a long time in between flags. We'll see if that trend continues. So roughing the passer puts Blaine inside the 20 here on first. It's a handoff to Henry, or Harper cuts it up the middle of the field. Another flag thrown, and it'll fall at about the 1 yard line. So a penalty thrown, Harper on the run. This might be a makeup call, might be a holding on Blaine. And that is what it is. And a loud cheer from the Orioles sidelines and the fan section. And that's interesting because the flag was thrown there, the holding was called almost immediately, and then you've seen the pass interference call, the illegal chop block have taken a long time for the officials to mull over. So kind of interesting that the holding penalty was almost instantaneously called by the officiating crew. I might be trying to start stuff here in the booth. I have no idea. Just trying to understand what's going on. So 1st and a mile now for Blaine. Doubles to the left and right. Melton out of the shotgun with Harper as his setback to the right. Looking to throw is Melton. 3-step drop. Throws it down the sideline. Incomplete. Hits him right in the hands. That was Blake Newberg, who had a receiving touchdown earlier on in the game. That was his second on the year. That one on the 5-step drop just hits him right in the hands and falls out, so it'll bring up 2nd and long for Blaine with 4:07 to go here in the second quarter. Melton out of the shotgun once again, looking to throw. Pressure being sent by the Orioles deep down the sideline. Wide open, caught inside the 5. On the reception there was Curtis Wagan. I've been screwing up the replays today. Holy crap. So ball inside the 5. Wagan was wide open there. And it'll be 1st and goal for Blaine. Harper the setback. It's going to be a handoff to Harper, and he's going to fall short of the end zone. Wrapped up on the play there for the Orioles by Anthony Williams. And late substitution for the Orioles. Blaine right back on the line of scrimmage. And they could have. So they give time Osseo to substitute here. 2nd down. It's going to be a handoff to Harper. And he will. They mark him down. So it'll be 3rd down. Orioles stand him up. Oma Toyombo on the tackle. So a big 3rd down for the Oriole defense. Oh, yeah, that's right. 2nd down. So basically the same formation once again. Harper up in the pocket a little bit more. It's going to be a handoff to Harper, and he'll hot step it into the end zone. Blaine's 3rd touchdown of the game. So Harper's 2nd touchdown of the game gives the Bengals a 3-possession lead with 3 minutes even to go here in the first half. And almost blocked again. Osseo special teams have been getting pretty close here today. So Blaine 21, Orioles 0. Harper scores his 2nd touchdown of the first half. Newberg with the other one for Blaine. And Osseo will at least have 3 minutes and 2 timeouts to work with to at least cut into this lead and maybe make it a 2-possession game heading into halftime. Remember, Blaine also receives to start the second half.
sleeping bag.
Ball to be booted off from about the 40. Taylor, Caven, and Gray back deep to receive for the Orioles. It's going to be a squib kick up the middle, eventually caught at about the 30-yard line. He comes back up the middle of the field, and it'll be wrapped up a little bit past the 35 to the 37. And there's a Bengal down, and he gets right back up. That was Ekior on the return. So Osseo decent field position once again. 2:54 to go here in the quarter. Looking to put up their first points of the football contest. Jensen on the left side of your screen at left guard, one of our nominees for Grinder of the Year. Keep an eye on him as this possession goes along. Arell's going to be out of the shotgun, split back formation, one tight end left and right. It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and he'll get wrapped up immediately. A lot of pressure coming from that left tackle area for the Oriole O-line, and they'll lose a couple on the play, and they'll bring up second. Wanta on the field, along with Caven and Gray. We'll see what the junior RL can do to lead this Oriole offense down the field, trying to get their first score of the game. 4 down linemen for Blaine. No pressure being sent besides that. It's going to be a handoff to the outside to Ekior. Lowers his shoulder, and he's going to keep dragging him forward to about the 46-yard line. Nice, solid second effort from Jeff Ekior there. And it'll bring up third down. So third and about 3. Big statement from the Orioles offense if they pick up this first down here. Shotgun split back formation once again. Blaine will only send 4. It's going to be a handoff to Parnell, and he'll get tripped up near the marker, and he has a first down. So Osseo passes midfield. Parnell Taylor, explosive 6-yard run. 1:31 and counting to go here in the first half. Osseo still with 2 timeouts left. Shotgun set once again. Caven at the bottom of your screen. Gray at the top. Wants a tight end left. It's going to be a handoff to Ekior, and he'll run it up the middle of the field, eventually getting dragged down at about the 44-yard line. Osseo may take its second time out here. That is what they'll do. So with 1:11 to go here in the half, Osseo takes their second charge timeout, 1 remaining. Blaine still with all 3 of their timeouts. Osseo coming back on offense here, trying to get a score here at the end of the first half. Again, thank you to everyone tuning into the broadcast today. Third and final presidential debate going on right now. Probably would rather be here. I'm happy I'm at this game and not watching the debate. Orioles offense back to work here on second. RL looking to throw down the sideline, caught by Caven, cuts it up midfield to about the 38-yard line. A good catch and run there by Caven. Gives Osseo first down. 1:08 to go here in the quarter. Caven been doing a pretty good job replacing Karan Harmon's work that we've seen throughout the year. Harmon out with Marmar with injuries they suffered in the Coon Rapids game last week. And a low snap, and RL's just going to fall on it. So it'll be second down. And got to get the offense rolling here, get back to the line of scrimmage. Not a lot of hustle being shown for the Orioles with only 1 minute to go here in the half. And they'll hop back to the line of scrimmage, second and about 13. RL in the shotgun again. RL looking to throw. Quick bubble out to Gray, and he'll be wrapped up at about the 35 for about a 7 or 8 yard chunk. And it's going to be third down, 39 seconds to go, and Osseo calls their final timeout of the half. Gray eventually brought down at about the 36-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and 7 when we come back from the timeout.
In the first quarter, right?
What? Oh, no, man. Okay.
Doing a good job.
Yeah.
Boy, this officiating crew is having a rough night, huh?
See what offensive coordinator Royce Winford has up his sleeve as the Orioles come back on offense here on third down. At least at the bare minimum get a field goal out of this drive. They're about 10 yards away from Lum's career long, and RL's going to hand it off. Running is Parnell Taylor down the sideline, and he'll get tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and he's down. He got hit pretty low there, and there'll be an official's timeout. Taylor holding his quad.
Stay down.
And he's going to limp off the field. I'm sure Stockhouse would have loved it if Parnell kind of nursed that on the field a little bit longer than he did, but they will.
Blaine called a timeout.
So Blaine calls a timeout. So Blaine with 2 timeouts left here in the half. 30 seconds left here in the second quarter. Was a halfback stretch to Parnell Taylor. Got blown up in the backfield pretty hard. Hopefully he comes back at 100% after half. And an interesting down here on fourth at about the 38-yard line. We'll see what the Orioles elect to do, whether they punt the ball away or try to go for it on fourth. And as of right now, the offense is coming onto the field. So we'll see what RL has up his sleeve here on fourth. Going to probably hit Caven or Gray. Haven't seen a lot of passes to the tight end this year. But Wanta is your tight end to the right. RL out of the shotgun, looking to throw, rolling out. Throws it down the sideline, and it's going to be caught at about the 25. Big catch by Ron Gray, and a good throw as well. And Gray, that's pretty smart, not catching throwing it past the ref, so the ref couldn't hold on to the football, giving the Orioles some more time to get set. I formation, RL going to snap it and spike it. So 22 seconds to go. Pretty smart sleight of hand there by Gray to kind of throw it over the official's head and let the Orioles get the line of scrimmage faster. High school and college football, the clock doesn't start after first downs until the offense is all set, unlike the NFL where the clock just keeps rolling. So props to Gray there for using his head. Noticing that the officiating crew doesn't have the best of verticals on their side. So 2nd and 10, RL coming out. Caven the receiver on the bottom of your screen. Gray on the top. RL's going to be out of the shotgun. Trips to his left. And a flag is thrown. Delay of game on Osseo. So they'll bump it 5 yards back. That is one of the things that isn't present on this field. You see at some fields there is an actual play clock for how much time each team has, but none are present on either end zones here in Osseo. RL looking to throw down the sideline. Incomplete, intended receiver Jeff Ekior. So it'll be 3rd and 15 at the 30. 19 seconds to go here in the quarter. Osseo either going to have to get either an out route towards the sidelines or a deep pass down the middle to at least get a first down. Because if they fall inbounds without getting the first, it's going to make for a pretty interesting 4th down, even if they have enough time to run the play. So big 3rd down, shotgun split back formation. RL rolling out, looking to throw. Is going to heave it deep towards the end zone, and it's going to be caught! Touchdown Orioles, Julian Caven steps up in front of the corner, just like his counterpart Harmon has done throughout the season, and he gives the Orioles a big touchdown heading into the half. Osseo's first touchdown of the game. So a good throw by RL and a better catch by Caven, and it puts the Orioles right back into the game. Pending the extra point here from Dean Lum. Snap good, kick is up, and Diener is good once again, and the Orioles have cut into the deficit into a 2-possession game heading into the half. 21 the score for the Blaine Bengals, and Osseo now with 7. Solid 2-minute offense from the Orioles offense. Would love to see that heading into the second half as well. And especially here at home, it's always good to carry some momentum into the half. And that's what the Orioles will indeed be doing. 13 seconds to go here in the first half. Depending on the field position Blaine gets on this kick, I'd imagine they just take a knee and send it into half, but they still do have 2 timeouts. And if some decent field position is gained here, Blaine could probably run 1, maybe 2 plays. But Dean has been kicking for the Orioles for a long time. We'll see what the message was from the special teams coordinator and see where Dean pooches this. Going to try to draw as much time off the clock as he can. Bynum and Harper back deep for the Bengals. And Dean will just boot this one away into the end zone for a touchback. Great job by Diener. So that most likely will mean Blaine will just come out, take a quick knee, and send us into halftime. So Melton will just take a knee, and that'll send us into halftime with your score, the Blaine Bengals 21, Osseo Orioles 7. Blaine will receive at the beginning of the second half. Osseo bringing some momentum into halftime with a late score. At the end of the second quarter, we'll get to highlights, stats, and more heading into the halftime show about 10 minutes from now. You're listening to Osseo Orioles football on the Astro Productions Network. I'm your broadcaster, Austin Thune. Again, we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Throw the scoreboard up here. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Osseo Orioles football. Halftime, little under 5 minutes to go here. I'm sure they're going to add a little bit more time on. Teams haven't run onto the field yet. Orioles down 21-7 at the end of the first half. Osseo put up a big touchdown that cut the deficit down a little bit, but for the most part, Blaine has been controlling this football game. Give you a look at their first drive of the game. Couple of really nice runs by Bynum on jet sweeps. And here's Henry's handoff on the stretch play to the left that got Blaine their first touchdown of the game to go up 7-0. And then on their second drive, a very interesting no call on the top of your screen. It was a pass to Wagon that was a huge, about 35-yard reception that set up Blaine near the red zone, and it ended up throwing to Blake Newberg in the end zone for a touchdown to go up 14-0. Here's the play right here. Again, an interesting no call. Negan, a really big guy, so maybe would have made the reception regardless. But Osseo, that was the tail of the tape in at least the first quarter, was struggling with flags, and a couple of their drives were halted by holdings and false starts, pushing them back to even like a 2nd and 30. So Osseo's offense struggling. Blaine's offense was at least stopped for the most part in the second quarter, but Osseo's defense eventually got fatigued and allowed their third touchdown of the game. This one, if I can find it right here. Here we go. This was Blaine's third touchdown of the game. Just a quick handoff to Harper up the middle on 2nd and goal that got him to 21-0. And then the Orioles, again, we talked about, scored a touchdown to cut it down to a 21-7 deficit. Largely behind the legs of Jeff Ekior and RL making some really nice passes near the end of the first half. The 6 players we told you to keep an eye on as the game went on, the 3 for the team MVP honors, and then the 3 players for the Grinder nominees. We're going to start on the MVP side. Parnell Taylor has had a couple of really nice runs. This far and away would have been his nicest right here. It was called back on a holding penalty, and it would have given the Orioles a big chance to at least tie the game at 7-7. As far as the penalties go, something kind of reminiscent to that first game of the year against Maple Grove, where Osseo could have really been in that football game, but they kind of beat themselves up on penalties and put themselves deep in a hole. We'll see if they can overcome it here in the second half. But Parnell Taylor's had a pretty nice game running the rock. Atlanta's made a bunch of tackles defensively. He's definitely making his presence known. We'll see if he can keep stopping this Blaine offense and keep the Orioles in the game. And then the third nominee, Karan Harmon, who, along with Marmar, still injured from his game last week against Coon Rapids, so we won't see him in the game today. But for what it's worth, Karan Harmon, a terrific season, a good showing at the wide receiver position, leading the wide receiving core, much to the praise of one of the best Division II athletes as far as receiving yards go, Royce Winford, the offensive coordinator for the Orioles.
We know who that's for. Spark plug behind the mic.
And then over on the Grinder watch for the Orioles, Dean Lum has made a couple of tackles, made an extra point. He's had a couple of pretty nice kicks as well. The Blaine Bengals now rushing onto the football field now. Second nominee, Nash Jensen. O-line's been having a pretty rough go of it so far. See if that gets capitalized in the second half. And then finally, Jeff Ekior. And Ekior has had a lot of really nice runs, at least setting up the Orioles in good position before penalties end up flagging the drive, but was a huge catalyst in forming the final possession that got Orioles 7 points near the end of the half, which is where we stand right now. Temperature seeping a little bit lower into the low 40s, might even get into the high 30s as the game goes on. Wind not as bad as we saw last week versus Centennial, or against Coon Rapids, excuse me. 3 minutes to go here in halftime before we get back to action here in the second half. Again, Blaine will be receiving to start the second half. Jackson Ellert, another one of the inactives today for the Orioles, so that also explains why Chris Royston's making his first start of the year. A lot of injuries late in the season for the Orioles, a lot of notable names that have been here throughout the year that aren't in today because of injury. We'll see if they can pick up the slack here in the second half. Again, on the bottom right of your screen, you see the BCA Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A lot of the players on the Orioles side wearing pink socks. This is our 8th and final broadcast of Osseo Orioles football this season. I don't believe I will be returning next year, so for what it's worth, it's been an awesome 2 years. Thanks for everyone who's been tuning in. We watched last year the Orioles overcome 3 tough losses, go into sections, and eventually win the state championship. So we saw a seasoned head coach lead his team into a state performance that this city hasn't really seen for a really long time. And a bit of a mix-up this year from what we saw last year. A new head coach, a new regime, definitely off to a rough start. But the Orioles have come together, definitely have in the second half of the season, having their best offensive showings these last 3 weeks. And have really come together heading into the sections that'll start next week. So the Orioles have had a lot of growing pains this year, but they definitely have come together as a football program and rallied behind Stockhouse. And at least for the most part today have played pretty good football despite the penalties. We'll see if they can overcome the deficit versus the number 8 ranked team in the state of Minnesota, a position that Blaine hasn't been in for a really long time. Even if you look back at the history of the Orioles versus Blaine, they've been pretty successful against them. Still have one more half to go. Last home game of the year for the Osseo Orioles. Senior night was shown in the pregame before the game started.
When he had a chance, he had a penalty to move it a half a yard closer. The way you're running the ball, I would have.
So third quarter will be underway here shortly. Again, Blaine receiving. Osseo will be booting it away. Temperature definitely starting to go down. Going to make catching the football out of the passing game a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, Osseo's featured a lot of short passes to either Caven or Gray on quick 5-yard outs or quick 5-yard curls. So as long as the ball is kept in sort of a short passing game, the Orioles should have a lot of success offensively and should have a decent shot at coming back in this football game. And the kicking unit will come on now, led by the kicker Dean Lum. And we're just about set to boot off action here in the second half. The bullet on the bottom of your screen is Tyler Seelock. The bullet at the top of your screen is Nolan Melikar. Just about set to get things squared away. Again, Diener booting it off from the 40 near the middle of the field. Back deep to return for Blaine is Bynum Jr. And the second half is underway. Ball to be returned from about the 25. Cuts it up the middle of the field. Breaks off a tackle. Runs it up the sideline. And Blaine will have a great return to start the half. Blocking set up in front of him. And he'll stumble his way down to the 21-yard line. A phenomenal return on the play by Max Batch. The backup linebacker, good blocking set up in front of him. And Blaine will have terrific field position to start the second half. And they're already in the red zone here on their first play of offense here in the second half. Melton will start out of the shotgun with trips to his left. Henry the setback to his left as well. One wide receiver right. And there's going to be a flag for encroachment on the Orioles. It would have been a quick bubble out to Bynum Jr. So Blaine will get 5 on the play, and he'll bring up 1st and 5 now for the Bengals. Top of your screen there is Blake Newberg. Receiving touchdown today. So Bengals now at the 15-yard line here for 1st and 5. It's going to be a handoff to Harper up the middle. He cuts it up the middle of the field, and he'll skate in nearly untouched for a touchdown. Harper running ferociously up the middle gives Blaine their 4th touchdown of the game, his 3rd. And there's an injury timeout as an Oriole is down on the field. So Blaine kicks it up to 27-7, pending the extra point.
If it gets a big enough lead, I don't know how that all works.
I don't think they do that in high school.
Yeah, they do.
Running time?
Yeah, especially in the 4th quarter.
So rough go of it to start the half for Osseo's defense. Blaine marches down the field on a great play on special teams. We'll give you a look at that right here.
Run down there and get the rules.
Return it all the way to the 21-yard line. And then after a false start penalty on 1st and 5, it was a handoff to Harper. Cut it up the middle of the field. Walks in nearly untouched. And that is how Blaine engineered their 4th touchdown of the game on a very quick drive, only taking 15 seconds off the clock here in the 3rd quarter. Players still down for Osseo.
Hey, run the clock down. Nobody's watching.
So good to see him getting up on his own strength there. Player that's injured for the Orioles was Jacob Jones, the captain of the Oriole D-line. We'll see how his status is the next time the Osseo defense comes onto the field. But for now, Blaine will be attempting the extra point. On to kick it for Blaine is Nolan Womack. He's 3 for 3 on extra point tries today. Osseo's almost blocked a punt, and they almost blocked the last extra point for the Bengals. We'll see if they can force any pressure here. And almost again, but the kick is off by Womack, and it's good. So 28-7, Bengals lead over the Orioles. And if Osseo wasn't planning to pass the football heading into the second half, they better be now, down 21 points. Got to save as much time as you can without running the football. So we'll see what Aurel and the offense decide to do when they come back out. Jacob Jones being evaluated on the bench on the sideline. Again, pivotal players in the Oriole offense, Marmar and Karan Harmon, out today. And a sign of maybe a potential injury to Parnell Taylor as well, as back deep to receive is Caven, Gray, and Tevin Yang for the Orioles. So no Parnell Taylor back deep with the deep 3 for this Oriole return. Ball to be booted off from the 40. See if the Orioles can engineer a special teams return and get some good field position to start the half. Ball returned from about the 32, cuts it upfield to a 40, and he'll be brought down at about the 42-yard lines where forward progress will put him. Jaden Morton, second time he's returned a squib kick. Pretty decent yardage on both of them. And Osseo will start with good field position here on first down. Aurel coming onto the field. Caven, Gray on. See Ekior in the huddle. Wanta, along with David Hall out of the backfield. So shotgun split back formation for RL here on first. It's a handoff to Ekiyor, and he'll be swarmed up at the line of scrimmage. So it'll bring up second down on the tackle there for Blaine. Was Tyler OsseoVsBlaine. Gets about a yard loss on the play, so it'll bring up second and 11. Blaine, 3 down linemen, now 1 backer pressing on the left side. RL, same formation as last play. Blaine sends a house blitz, and it's intercepted, and that'll be a pick 6. RL was looking for the slant, and talking about pick 6s heading into the game. Sam Garrity had 2 pick 6s heading into the game today. That's his 3rd of the season, his 5th interception, and Blaine has bumped the lead up to 34-7 pending the extra point. So a good job of Garrity reading the throw from RL on the slant. And Womack to kick the extra point for the Orioles. And just when it looked like the Orioles might be coming back into the football game near the end of the half, 2 quick touchdowns by Blaine, 1 on offense and 1 on the pick 6 you just saw, have now made it. And that one is blocked. So Osseo finally blocks an extra point after getting close a couple of times prior. So the score will be 34-7. Osseo had definitely been fielding some pressure throughout the game, even on a punt as well. So the first bright spot of the second half for the Orioles, a blocked extra point. Still the Bengals lead 34-7. Give you a look at what Garrity saw from the throw on RL there. Garrity walks in with no Orioles around him. Again, that's his 3rd pick 6 of the season. So he's been doing it throughout the year. Leader of the defensive backs for the Bengals. And despite being down by this much, got to rally the troops here to see if Osseo can engineer a drive and at least put themselves back into this football game. Still a lot of time left, 10:55 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Feels like a half hour has already gone by. So Nolan Womack set to boot it away for the Bengals. Back deep to receive for the Orioles, Caven Gray and Tevin Yang. And there's another squib up the middle. This one takes a hop and to be returned from about the 25. And he'll try to find a hole to get near the 30. He'll fall down at about the 29-yard line as we're forward progress. Will mark him, so it'll be first down for Osseo. On the return there for the Orioles was Julian Caven. So that's where Osseo will pick up business at about the 30. So 1st and 10 for Osseo. Split back formation out of the shotgun. 1 wide receiver left and right, tight end left and right as well. It's going to be a handoff to Ekiyor up the middle, and he'll get swarmed at the line of scrimmage. And it'll be second on the tackle there for the Bengals was Thomas Hintz and Courtney Dawson. So it'll bring up second down. Got about a yard on the play. Player we talked about in the broadcast in the pregame show for Blaine on the D-line, Ben Kidda, leads the team in sacks heading into the game. Hasn't really made his presence felt with sheer tackles, but he's definitely forced pressure on RL. Watch him in the middle of the line here on second. RL looking to throw out to Gray. Caught on the bubble at about the 35. Gets another couple yards there, and it'll bring up third down. So third and about 5 for third and a long 5 for the Oriole offense. 9:45 to go here in the third. Big third down for the Orioles. Shotgun split back formation once again. Garrity pressing on the line of scrimmage. One wide receiver left and right. RL rolling out, looking to throw. Throws it down the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Julian Caven. Put a little bit too much sauce on that, and it'll bring up fourth down. And the punt team will come out for the Orioles. So Osseo will go 3 and out. Norman to punt for the Orioles from about the 20. And Osseo will spread them out once again. There's the punt. Looks like a pretty good punt. And it's going to be recovered by the Orioles. So a muffed catch by Blaine, and Osseo will recover at about the 40-yard line. It looked like fair catch might have been called for by the returner for the Bengals, but he just couldn't hang on to the football. Osseo will capitalize, and they will have the ball at about the 40-yard line with a chance to cut back into this deficit with 9:20 to go here in the third. Gray, the receiver on the bottom of your screen. Caven at the top. Wanted, tight end right. Shotgun split back formation. 4 being sent by Blaine on the blitz. RL looking to throw deep down the field. Looking for Ron. Incomplete. Tried to step in front of the corner, and he couldn't get up and catch the ball, so it'll bring up second. Pretty decent throw by RL, but at least on those deep passes for the Orioles, whether it be Marmar or RL this year, haven't really led the receivers into the ball. They've had to stop and step up to it, which may be a factor of why the deep game hasn't worked as well for the Orioles this year. But it will be 2nd and 10, ball at the 40-yard line. RL under center now in the I formation, tight end right. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Ekiyor has some room to run, and it'll fall forward past the 35 to about the 33, and it'll bring up third down. So a good carry there by Ekiyor on second, bring us up a 3rd and short. 3rd and manageable, not really short. In the backfield for the Orioles is Hall along with Ekiyor. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Ekiyor, and he will get tripped up right at the line of scrimmage, short of the marker, and it'll bring up fourth down. So Osseo going to go for it here on fourth. I'd be absolutely baffled if the punt team was sent out here. RL coming out. Again, the few times Blaine sent a blitz, it's been pretty effective. This would be a time to do it here on 4th and short. RL under center, motioning in the Blaine backfield. RL play action, looking to throw. Dumps it out to Ekiyor, cuts it upfield, lowers his shoulder, and I think he might have got the first down. And they're going to do a measurement. Ekiyor, pretty good job of cutting up field, lowering his shoulder for the second effort. I believe he might have gotten enough for the first. We'll see on the measurement here. And Ekiyor is short, so Blaine will pick up with the football. After Osseo's forced turnover on special teams, Blaine will pick business back up with 7:35 to go in the third quarter, leading 34-7. So trips to the left. Melton out of the shotgun. Harper is running back to his left. It's going to be a bubble out to Bynum Jr., and he'll get wrapped up in the backfield. Good job reading that by the Orioles secondary. On the tackle there for the Orioles, Adam Plumhoff along with Johnson Fowler, and it'll bring up second. So here we go on second. It's going to be a handoff to Harper up the sideline, cuts it back towards the sideline again, and he'll fall forward for a pretty decent chunk there on second. Gets about 8 yards on the play. So pretty good run there by Harper on second, and it'll bring up third and short. Melton out of the shotgun, trips to his left, one wide receiver right. And it's going to be a quarterback option. He'll flip it out to the running back, bobbled in the backfield, and he'll cut it towards the sideline, and Bynum Jr. will just step out at the 31. So Osseo will force Blaine to punt the ball now. Loses about 8 yards on the pitch. Ace Navalangesy on the tackle, pushing him out of bounds. So Osseo, Julian Caven back deep to receive for the Orioles. Going to try to get some good field position once again. And there's the punt. Osseo forced some pressure on it. It'll take a Blaine bounce and roll it about the 35-yard line, where Osseo will pick up offensively. So Osseo's definitely struggled outside of one drive moving the football here in this football game. We'll see what they can do here on the field for the Orioles. Is Hall along with Ekior, Gray, Caven, usual suspects out there for the offense. Aurel under center, Wanta tight end right. Four down lineman for the Bengals. Aurel under center, takes a snap. It's going to be a fullback handoff up the middle, and he'll fall forward for about 2 or 3, so it'll bring up second. Officials have been a lot more quiet here in the second half, knock on wood, than they have in the first half. So split back formation under center is Aurel here on second, and it's going to be a handoff, cut back up the middle of the field. Some run to run is Ekior, and he's going to roll it to about the 41-yard line. A good run by Ekior there. One of our guys to look for as grinder of the year for this Oriole offense. A good run there by Ekior, and it gives the Orioles a first down. Ekior definitely has grown in the backfield. We saw him a lot just as a pass-catching back, and he's really formed his own as one of the lead tailbacks in this Oriole backfield here late in the season. Split back formation again, handoff Ekior again. Tries to cut through the hole, but he'll get tripped up at about the line of scrimmage. Maybe gets a yard there, and it'll bring up second.
They got time.
So 2nd and 10, 5 minutes to go here in the third. Both teams still with 3 of their timeouts. So 2nd and 10. Arell's going to be under center, single back formation now for the Orioles. It's going to be a pitch out to Ekiyor looking to run, and he'll just lower his shoulder into the pile, and he's going to keep rolling to about the 32-yard line. Got to give you a look at this run, even though there's a penalty on the play. Ekiyor just keeps driving. Another solid run from him, but it's going to be called back on a penalty. Right when I talk about the officials being silent, they throw a flag on nearly the next play. So holding on the Orioles will push him back to a 2nd and long, 10-yard penalty. So 2nd, 25 it looks like for the Orioles. Single back formation, RL under center, 2 wide receivers left, 1 wide receiver right is Ron Gray. 3-step drop, RL dumps it out, and it's incomplete. And it will be picked up by Blaine and returned into the end zone for a touchdown. I think at least on the replay, it looks like RL threw it in front of him, but it's a scoop and score for the Bengals. Evan Anderson on the scoop and score, and the Bengals have pushed it out to a 40-7 lead.
I'm not kidding. It's time when we're in the fourth quarter, right?
It looked like RL might have thrown that ball in front of him, but nonetheless, officials rule it as a fumble. So it's scooped up, and Blaine, 40-7, came in as the number 8 ranked team in the state of Minnesota. They're showing it here today. Defense with their 2nd touchdown of the game. The first one by Sam Garrity, the 2nd one now by Evan Anderson. And Blaine is going to go for the 2-point conversion now, and they'll throw it to the back corner of the end zone. And it's incomplete, and they're going to throw a flag.
They got tied up.
I don't know if there was. I don't know about that flag, but so pass interference. Pass interference on the Bengals, and it's declined by the Orioles, so the 2-point conversion is no good. So Blaine will lead this one 40-7.
Oh, we didn't get 41-7. Let me make the call.
Would have liked to see that offensive pass interference called a lot earlier in the game, but it's called now, and Osseo declines it, so the 2-point conversion is no good. Score now 40-7. So Blaine looks like they're going to move to a 6-2 season, 5-2 in West Metro Conference play. Tough ball game for the Orioles. They've kept it pretty close to the best against teams that were ranked inside the top 10 heading into the game. This is the 4th game this season the Orioles have played against a top 10 team in the state of Minnesota. Their first one against Maple Grove was decided by 10 points. That was a pretty close ball game, and like today, penalties were a large reason why the Orioles put themselves out of that ball game. Second ball game, not as close. TG blew out the Orioles 36-7. TG probably one of the favorites to win the state championship this year, behind the legs of Gaylord Flomo, the younger brother of Kez Flomo, who was a solid back there a couple years ago, is now running at South Dakota State. Third game of the year the Orioles played against a top 10 team was a classic. Orioles ended up losing to the Champlain Park Rebels, but the final was 36-35. Osseo put a good effort up in that game, and now today down 40-7 at the moment. See if they can put some points on to at least make this one competitive as this one goes on. Ekiyor running out of the field for the returning team. There's the kick. And muffed at about the 10, so he'll return it from about the 8, and he'll get tripped up at the 16. Good job by Blaine Special Teams covering the play there, and the officials blow the whistle and set up Osseo on offense inside the 20. 4:05 to go here in the third quarter. Blaine up by 33 points now.
No, he slammed it out. Too bad.
Blaine scored 19 unanswered points here in the second half. Osseo going to try to at least get back into this game. Arell's going to hand it off up the middle to the fullback. He'll get a couple on the play, and it'll bring up second. Wanta late blocking there on the Orioles. Just some frustration on the offensive side of the football. Well understood. Orioles definitely wanted to end the season on a high note, and it looks like pretty tough go of it here against the Bengals. RL's jogging onto the field now. So second down for the Orioles. Split back formation. RL's going to be under center this time. It's going to be a handoff, and he'll get wrapped up immediately in the backfield. Just no help at all on the right side of the line there. Looked like Opeachy Haas got blown up on that play, and Osseo will lose some yards in the backfield. And now Nash Jensen jogging off the field, jogging on for the Orioles is Brandon Stromback, the senior O-lineman. So Osseo already starting to put some of their seniors in here on the last home game of the year on senior night. Jensen, well-regarded offensive lineman for the Orioles, captain, one of the 4 captains nominated by the coaching staff. Good catch and run there by Gray. Gray on the reception. He's going to make it 4th and about 3 on the play. And the punt team will come out for the Orioles. 2:32 to go here in the third quarter. Garrity back deep to receive for the Bengals. There's the snap, and there's the punt, and there's a whistle flag. I believe it's going to be delay of game on the Orioles. Let's see what the official ruling is. And it's going to be illegal motion, I believe, is a penalty on the Orioles. Pushes them back another 5. So it'll bring up 4th down still. Osseo will be punting this one away. Garrity standing at about the 45-yard line to return for the Bengals. And they'll shift him out again. There's the kick, bit of a line drive to be returned from about the 48, and that's where he'll call a fair catch. Garrity learns from last time where he muffed the punt return and eventually caused a turnover that the Orioles got, but unfortunately couldn't turn into any points. 2:27 to go here in the third. Blaine coming back on offense now. Looks like for the most part all the starters are still in for the Bengals. Melikar now in on the defensive side. Couple of substitutions on that. We'll get to that as we go. And it's going to be a deep pass, wide open, and he catches it about the, they're going to say incomplete. He was bobbling it. I'm not going to question running up the score. It's a football game. It's competitive. The one thing I will question, though, is where was the safety on that play? Nobody there at all to cover Sam Carl, who was the intended receiver. Osseo, Tyron Maxwell on the coverage there. So it'll bring up second down, doubles, shifting Bynum Jr. in motion, trips to the right, another whistle. And this will be a false start on the Bengals. It'll push them back 5. So it'll be 2nd and 15. Kind of just want to let this game keep rolling. Officials continuing to call penalty flags. So 2nd and 15 now for the Bengals. Bynum, the receiver, in the middle of the trio on the top of your screen. Welton looking to throw, and he'll throw it towards Bynum. Incomplete, hits right off his hands, and it'll bring up 3rd. For Chase Harper, coming into the game as the 2nd leading rusher in the West Metro North Division. He really hasn't seen a lot of touches today, and even being up 40-7, still isn't getting the handoffs. So you wonder if they're just saving him for next week or what, but it's 3rd and 15 here. Looking to throw still, and they'll throw it deep down the field, and he's got him beat, and he's got him untouched into the end zone for a touchdown. Bynum Jr. on the reception, and 46-7 pending the extra point, and Blaine is running away with this one. Most points the Bengals have scored all year, and the most points the Orioles have allowed all year as well. On for the extra point is Womack. There's the kick, and it's good. So 47-7 is the score. Couple of defensive touchdowns behind Garrity's pick 6 and Alverson's scoop and score accounted for.
The next flag, it's running time.
So Blaine up by 40 now.
We have to get it back under 30. So 35 is right time.
26 unanswered points for Blaine here in the second half. Again, we came into a competitive ball game out of halftime. 21-7 was the score. Give you a look at a couple of the plays here. This, believe, that's the pick 6 by Garrity. Right here is the run by Henry, untouched into the end zone, that accounted for another one of their touchdowns here in the second half. It's been, the Bengals have put dagger into the Orioles here, down 47-7 in the waning minutes of the third quarter. Line drive booted, and it'll fall out of bounds.
Okay, running time. He threw a flag.
So Osseo will get the ball pretty good field position after the flag.
There's some rumblings about running time, but I'm not sure.
I'm sure the Orioles, with temperature going almost under 40 degrees now, would like for
I gotta take care of you, bro.
this ball game to just be over. Osseo will pick up on offense at the 35 here on first down. So what was a pretty good ball game heading into halftime will be plagued by a lot of miscues here in the second half. Bengals running it up to 47-7. Be nice to just see RL engineer a drive here for the Orioles. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. He'll get about a yard or two on the play, and it'll bring up second. On the carry there for the Orioles was David Hall, who we saw have a couple of nice runs against Coon Rapids last week. Wanta coming off the field for the Orioles. In his place is Carl Calvert. Had a couple of receptions last week as well against Coon Rapids. Gray along with Rex Johnson on the bottom of your screen. Aurel, it's going to be a handoff up the middle of the hall, and he'll hot step his way past the marker down to about the 48-yard line. David Hall, pretty impressive run, breaking through a couple of tackles, giving the Orioles a first down. David Hall on the handoff. And warming up on the sideline for the Orioles is Eric Lindstrom. We saw him get some work last week against Coon Rapids. Sure, we'll see him come in sometime in the fourth quarter. RL under center. It's going to be a handoff to Hall once again, and Hall's just going to keep running what's given to him inside the 35, down to the 34 now. And Hall fumbles the ball, and the Bengals pick it up. On the recovery is Evan Anderson, who had the scoop and score earlier, and Hall is down on the field now. Another injury for the Orioles running back core. 1:01 to go here in the third quarter. Hopefully Hall is okay. Again, one of the seniors for this Oriole offense.
Yeah, my butt's freaking too. I got on jeans.
Put a cup on.
So it's going to be a handoff up the middle. Gets a couple on the plane. It'll eventually be met for about a 3-yard gain in the game now. At quarterback for Blaine was Michael Gottschalk. Trying to think of what college it is that has a quarterback with a number in the 20s. That might be the Indiana. I think Indiana might have a quarterback in the 20s. Can't remember what college it is, but one of the rare times you'll see a quarterback line up with a number in the 20s, so it's going to be third down for the Bengals. Some alternates on the field for the Orioles now. Donovan Seals on the field as well as Adolphus Somerville, as well as Thomas Opatz. And it's going to be the end of the third quarter. Blaine leads 47-7 behind the strength of their defense, scoring 26 unanswered points here in the third quarter. Behind 2 defensive touchdowns, one on a pick six by Garrity Anderson with a scoop and score as well. Harper with another rushing touchdown. Ball's placed back on the field. Blaine will be running onto the football field now. Osseo's defense just going to try to keep this competitive here for the final quarter of the regular season. Third down. Osseo going to try to stop him, let the offense come back on the field. It's going to be a quarterback keeper. He'll run it up the sideline, cut it up the middle of the field, and eventually get wrapped up. Jaden Morton among the Orioles on the tackle there, as well as Nolan Melikar. So fourth down, punting team coming out for the Bengals. The Orioles will be set back deep to receive around the 40-yard line. And Hall is running down the sideline, so we might see him come back on the offense after getting injured on the last drive. So there's the punt. And Osseo's going to let it roll, and it's going to roll and take a Blaine bounce at about the 30-yard lines where it's going to stop. So Osseo will pick up with duties on offense. Ball at the 30. Lindstrom in now at quarterback for the Orioles out of the I formation. It's going to be a handoff, cut out to the outside, back up midfield, and he'll get a pretty decent chunk there on first down. On the carry there for the Orioles was Reggie Dupree. We saw him get some work at cornerback last week for the Orioles in the second half against Rapids, and now he's getting some work at the running back position as well. So second down for the Orioles. Pretty good run there on first by Dupree. It's going to be a handoff to Dupree, and he'll cut it to the outside with some room to run, and he'll let the block set up, rolled forward to about the 49. Another good run by Reggie Dupree. Future of the Orioles, he's got pretty good legs, good speed, and a good run there by Reggie. Ball's on the 49 now. Lindstrom handoff once again, and he'll cut it up the middle of the field, get a pretty decent chunk once again on first. Some more substitutions on the Osseo offense. Ben Platt coming back in the game. We saw him last week as well. Rex Johnson in. Ethan Cummings on the O-line as well. And now in at quarterback for the Orioles, Lindstrom still. Rex Johnson on the top of your screen. Forward down lineman for the Bengals sending some pressure on the right side. It's going to be a fullback handoff up the middle. And he's going to keep on rolling for a first down. On the carry there was Abraham Kamara. We saw him get some work last week as well. Pretty good runs by Reggie Dupree and Kamara. And now coming onto the field for the Orioles, Elliot Spolsky. So Osseo's backups trying to engineer a drive to at least put them in double digits for the end of this ball game. Lindstrom threw a couple passes last week. We'll see if they let him throw the ball here today. Lindstrom steps back, looking to throw, slant out to Gray, and it hits right off his hands. Pretty good three-step drop there, nonetheless, by Lindstrom. So 2nd and 10, 8:35 and counting running time here in the fourth quarter.
Well, we'll see you next time.
And it's going to be a handoff to Dupree once again. Look at Dupree run down to about the 22, and he's hammered there. But Reggie Dupree, another solid run out of the backfield. Kamara coming on, along with Grant Tardif. Dupree coming off now. Another solid run from the young man, the sophomore. Played DB last week. A couple of nice runs here so far. In the game as his replacement, Brandon Strombeck. We saw him get some work at tailback last week as well. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Kamara. They'll bounce it to the outside, and 2 flags are thrown. Gets a couple yards on the play.
No, he just stopped the clock.
On a penalty, maybe.
Penalty. There's certain things he stopped it on first down. He stopped it on a penalty. He didn't stop it on the incomplete pass, though. Did you actually listen in the ref? I'm trying to.
So it's going to be a face mask on the Bengals, so they'll move Osseo up even further.
Con's just a little guy.
So Osseo will have the ball inside the red zone for the second time today. I formation, Lindstrom under center, Strombeck his fullback with Kamara the tailback. Lindstrom's going to hand it off to Strombeck, who's going to power his way forward inside the 10. So first down for the Orioles, first and goal now. 7:18 to go here in the quarter. Lindstrom under center. Takes a snap, it's going to be a handoff to Strombeck, and he's going to power his way inside the 5, where he will be brought down, and it'll bring up second. Give you a look at Strombeck on the replay there. Pretty good run. Strombeck, the senior, actually listed as an old lineman on the depth chart, so he's getting some work running the football. So second and goal now. Dupree back in the backfield with Rex Johnson and Calvert, the receivers from left to right. Lindstrom, handoff, Strombeck again. Strombeck is going to power his way close to the goal line. He'll be marked short, and it'll be third. See if Osseo can top off this drive with a touchdown. Strombeck, the fullback. Dupree, the tailback once again. Lindstrom, handoff, Strombeck, up the middle. Into the end zone, and Osseo has their second touchdown of the game. Strombeck finds his way for his first touchdown of the year, and the Orioles, at least for the moment, have given the Orioles crowd something to cheer about. 47-13 now the score, pending the extra point.
He's our snapper. Did I know that? You gotta incorporate that long snapper scramble.
And it looks like the Orioles are going to be going for 2 here. In at quarterback is Jack Tate.
13.
Jack Tate going to be under center.
He's over the guard. Oh, man, that was a
Tate takes the snap, looking to throw, fade near the corner of the end zone, and that was a little underthrown.
a little cold.
So Tate tries to get the Orioles a 2-point conversion, unsuccessful. But Osseo, behind the legs of Strombeck, does put another touchdown on the board, so the score now reads 47-13 in favor of the Bengals. 5:52 to go here in the fourth quarter.
Coach kick. 5.
Step out of bounds, about the 38-yard line.
It's not running economy. It's not
Yeah, I don't know if they go out of bounds if you're supposed. I don't know what. That's why you need to get one of those cards.
I was down there.
So the Bengals will pick up on offense here, 1st and 10, 5:43 to go here in the 4th quarter. Dupree playing corner at the bottom of your screen now.
That number 70 is 327 pounds.
It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and he'll be wrapped up near the line of scrimmage.
Number 70?
Brought down by number 6. Roy Malone.
That number?
Roy Malone on the tackle, so it'll bring up 2nd and about 9, 5:22 to go here in the quarter.
Yeah.
Malachar again in for the Orioles. Some more substitutions on the defensive side. Sam Mulvanley on the defensive side now for the Orioles. See him right there. Dupree again, the bottom of your screen, along with Malachar. 2nd down for the Bengals is going to be a handoff once again. Runs it up the middle, gets a pretty decent chunk there on 2nd.
He's a senior.
On the carry there for Blaine was Andrew Yang. So 3rd and short for the Bengals. Chase Harper, at least for the moment, is in the game right now in the backfield for the Bengals. Kind of an interesting call by the head coach there for Blaine, having his lead back still in the game here in the 4th quarter. 3rd and 2 is going to be a handoff to Harper up the middle, and he's going to break through a couple tackles and eventually be brought down to the 44. Lay the wood, young man. Tyron Maxwell, pretty good hit there at the end of the play. So 1st down for the Bengals on the carry by Harper.
I think it's so cold it doesn't make sense that he had the yards right.
Oh, he's hurt.
And there's a player injured near the sideline, so we'll take an injury timeout.
I like how this game just moves right along.
So the Cubs win, then game over.
Target center.
It's all your fault. It's all your fault.
Cubs 5-zip, bottom of 6. Bottom of 5. Sacks full. Dodgers. 1 out.
All your fault.
LA.
Scores across the league might be interested in basketball. The Timberwolves are currently winning right now. And in the NLCS, or in the ALCS, the Indians beat the Blue Jays earlier today, so they'll be moving on to the World Series. And then the Cubbies currently beating the Dodgers right now. That series is 2-1 in favor of the Dodgers, to the surprise of a lot of people that follow baseball, but the Cubs trying to even that series back up. It's a handoff up the middle to number 5, Chase Harper, who I guess wants to still pad his stats here in the 4th quarter. And now Harper will come off the field. New line for the Bengals here on 2nd and short.
Brought down by Metachar. Yeah.
Another substitute coming on for the Orioles is Micah Beisner. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. He'll be tripped up, but he'll have a second effort, and he'll juke through another defender to get inside the 30. On the run there was Alex Pecula. Pretty nice run. Good second effort there. And he'll give Blaine a 1st down. 3:05 to go here in the fourth quarter. Bakula, a nice carry for the Bengals. Bengals might be trying to get up to 50 points for the first time this year. Offense driving here. It's going to be a handoff up the middle to Bakula, and he'll drag himself forward to about the 22-yard line. Give you a look at the run here. So it'll bring up second. And another line change for the Bengals. They're subbing everybody out now. It's like watching a hockey game. Here comes the new O-line for the Bengals. Some substitutions on their end. Josiah Gold, not to be confused with Robbie Gold, along with Griffin Nelson on that O-line now for the Bengals.
That 70's huge, man. He's a big kid.
Shotgun set, one running back to his left. It's going to be a handoff up the middle and break through a couple other Oriole defenders, eventually be brought down for another first down. That's Andrew Yang, another nice carry from him. Pretty short running back. Got to get pretty low to tackle him. And another lane change for the Bengals. Some more old linemen coming in now, trying to get everybody in the game. And Lucky Yang, Andrew's brother, lined up on the bottom of your screen to the right. Two tight ends to the left and right of the line of scrimmage. Bengals really look like they're trying. Now they'll take a knee. So Blaine looks like they're just going to kneel this one out. Micah Gottschalk, the quarterback. 1:18 to go here in the fourth. Couple more knees, and that should do it. The Bengals will move to 6-2 on the year. That's where they will end their regular season. Probably might move up a spot in the top 10 rankings as well. They'll end 5-2 in West Metro Conference play. Put them in a tie for second in the division. Heading into sections, Osseo will fall to 2-6 in Ryan Stockhouse's first year as a head coach for the program. Osseo, pretty rough season, but had a couple of highlights, a couple of lowlights, but for the most part, it's football. And whether you were an Osseo Oriole fan that tuned in throughout the year, thanks for tuning in to the broadcast. Blaine Bengal fans that are watching the broadcast today, thanks for tuning in. Anybody else who's just a sheer fan of football like myself, thanks for tuning in as well. Again, the Orioles going to take the loss here in their final home game of the year behind the efforts of Chase Harper and the defense along with the Garrity brothers. So Blaine will carry this momentum into the sectional playoffs. Osseo, the tough final win or final loss of the year at home. And that is going to do it for the Astro Productions Network. I'm your broadcaster, Austin Thune. It's been a great 2 years. We'll see what happens next year. Thanks for coming along with the ride. Everyone, as always, have a good rest of your night. And thanks for tuning in. Go Vikings on Sunday.